number one bait in my arsenal. And check this guy out. We have a promotion going on, summertime bass that move out offshore, move out in a little bit deeper water. What is going on, Lake Pro Tackle fam? Back here in the shop here, y'all. We have an exciting episode for y'all today. This is going to be a little series that I think I'm going to call Baits and Boujee, focusing on this time of the year, the fishing, some baits that should be able to help you go out and catch more fish. We're going to talk about the bait itself, kind of what it is, what is the main purpose of it, and how does it catch fish specifically during this time of year. And then we're going to talk about the Boujee, talk about the little bit higher price point, and talk about some aspects that might get you even more bites. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Right now in North Texas, we are experiencing somewhat of a fall transition. Weather temps are steadily moving down just a little bit. I know most of the country is going to be experiencing a little bit warmer weather, and then we're going to start dipping into some colder months here. And you know, really moving into October is that fall transition where the bass are feeding up heavily for the winter time. There's lots of different forage that's in play, whether it's shad or crawfish or bluegill. You know, these bass are just out there eating, and depending on where you are, if you have vegetation, if you have hardwood, if you have bluffs, everything can be extremely relative depending on how your bait are setting up and how your bass are setting up. So these here regionally kind of in the southernmost states, you know, obviously probably not reaching up towards a lot of the smallmouth and extremely grassy vegetation areas. These are going to be pretty universally, you know, available slash, you know, you should be able to use these most of the time, just about no matter where you are. Even if you do have a lot of vegetation, you know, you can still kind of translate these a little bit, and we're going to hopefully dive into a little bit of that as well. So, you know, kicking it off, I absolutely love my hard baits in the fall time. A lot of the times the speed is what allows you to get more bites, you know, whether you're going slow or going fast. Being able to fish any of the baits at certain speeds throughout different times of the day will allow you to really maximize your potential for catching bass. Number one bait in my arsenal that is pretty universal, not all times of the year, but most of the year at some capacity, is going to be a Squarebill Crankbait, excuse me. This specific Squarebill Crankbait is a 2.5 size. Now this is a little bit bigger than your standard 1.5 Squarebill. Honestly, doesn't weigh that much more. Still has that square bill, which increases in extremely erratic action. The only downside that I have ever found really with 2.5 Squarebills is, for me at least, they get hung up a little bit more. The hooks are a little oversized. They like to tangle on the bill a lot of the time. This one here specifically uses, I believe it's size 2 hooks on it. This is this KVD 2.5. This one's diving anywhere from 3 to 5 foot on 12 to 14-ish pound line. And, you know, very, very good at getting up on the bank and moving off, being able to cover a decent amount of that strike zone. Now, what I like to do on my Squarebills at least is put on different hooks on this Strike King here, this 2.5. It's a little bit bigger profile, right? And a lot of the time these bass like to key in on some of the bigger bait. So you're separating yourself from the 90% of anglers that like throwing a 1.5 and you're throwing just a little bit bigger mule. But in reality, I mean, even a 1-pounder could get this whole thing down its mouth if it really tried. So realistically speaking, it is a bite getter. It is able to be reeled in fast, reeled in slow. Because of that square bill, it is like a 4-wheel drive crankbait. It can really run just about anywhere in that 5-ish foot range. Now, to help you modify this guy, again, you can change out the hooks. I really like the Spear 71 SS's. These are a short shank EWG. However, these guys right here are super, super strong. I don't get caught up as much because typical round bends that are sticking straight up, those like to catch rocks and things. The EWGs are slightly inwards, just slightly enough to where they don't catch on the rocks and everything like that. Another modification that I like to do is add on stick-on flat weights. These are lead weights that you can stick on anywhere on your crankbait, and you can actually adjust the action as well as float rate. Most of the time, these guys right here are very, very high float, and I like to add just a little bit of weight. We've got these are Lake Pro Tackle brand stick-on flat weights. These are currently buy one, get one free on the website. We have 0.5 gram, 1 gram, and 2 gram. And these also come in pearl and holographic. And depending on exactly how much action you want on your bait, you can stick them on the chin, you can stick them on the back, increase or decrease that float rate, and allow you to get the most out of the Squarebill, which again is already one of those things. It's like 4-wheel drive. It can do just about anything. This increases what you can do with it even more. So adding on a little bit of weight is one of those tips that I really like to tell people when it comes to fishing most hard baits as well. Anything that is a very, very high float, you're able to dole out some of the action, or at least be able to fish it even slower, keeping it in the strike zone. Now let's talk about the Boujee, the Evoke 2.0 from Depths. This guy right here is a machine when it comes to working on the water. Now this guy right here doesn't really have any rattles in it. It is pretty silent, just like the Strike King. However, what you're getting in this package here is a little more elongated body. It's a little bit skinnier, so instead of a really wide wobble body roll, you're getting a lot more tight action, and most of that action is coming from the Squarebill on this guy right here. Now, what's really neat and unique about this guy is, number one, the profile. It has a little bit more of a natural shad profile, not really, kind of more of a ball. This guy right here is, again, it's going to have a contoured belly, and it's also going to have stock hooks that are extremely, extremely strong. They are coated, so they are super slick. And this guy right here, the bill doesn't wear down quite as fast as something like the Strike King. That's something I've really noticed with my time on the water with this guy right here. Now, depending on color, where you're at in the country and where you're fishing, primarily will dictate that. If you're fishing a little bit dirty water, go a little more chartreuse in there, like chartreuse blueback. If you're fishing a pretty clear reservoir that is really, really deep, I highly suggest going to like a bluegill color. And if you've got kind of just typical North Texas rock, like fishing a dam or fishing a bridge area, definitely go with something white or shad related, because that is mainly what is up there right now. A lot of the bluegill in my area at least seem to be pushing back in some of the coves, and we've got some baits that kind of cover a little bit of that. So my second bait option is going to be a deeper diving crankbait. Now, a lot of the time there are a lot of summertime bass that move out offshore, move out in a little bit deeper water, that, let's say, 10 to 16 range. This guy right here is a staple for me in the summertime and in the fall time, focusing on a little bit more of those offshore deeper fish. This is the Rapala DT14, kind of one of those niche sizes that, I throw an 8, I throw a 10, and I throw a 16 a lot, but the 14 doesn't get as much love from a lot of anglers, I feel like. This guy right here, it catches fish all over the country. It doesn't go down as fast as the one we're going to talk about in the Boujee selection, but when it comes to making hyper long casts and being able to just get a lure down there, and it is balsa, so it is silent, it has a slower float rate. This guy right here is extremely, extremely unique. I always change my hooks out, typically the size 2s again. I might even go down a level. The stock hooks on this are okay for a little bit, but for, the best hookup to landing ratio, definitely upgrade them. And just like we talked about earlier, adding a little bit of weight, decreasing that float rate, and really allowing it to stay in the strike zone, especially in that deeper water, can be the difference. Now, I know a lot of you that fish ponds and shallower bodies of water aren't going to really have this in your arsenal, but if you ever go out to the lake and you're bank fishing, this 14 here can get down. You can pretty well effectively fish up back to the bank and still have a lot of success. Now, DT14, it is a balsa wood crankbait again, and it's really hard to mimic a lot of that balsa action. It's more tight. It has a slower slower float rate than a lot of the ABS baits out there. But my Boujee selection is going to be the Megabass Deep X 300. Now this guy weighs 3/4 of an ounce, pretty close to what the DT14 weighs, but it does have a little bit more of a casting system in it, so it's easier to cast. It gets down a lot faster to the target. So instead of wasting 50% of your cast getting down and coming out, this guy is going to stay down a lot easier. It is going to be built a little more aerodynamic. The DT has a very rounded head section, which can catch a lot of wind, and it has a little bit wider bill, which catches a lot more water. When cranking with JDM crankbaits, especially in the megabass and depths and OSP, a lot of their bills are very, very tight and skinny, which can cause a little overrun from left to right, especially if you're cranking way too fast. But if you get it just right, if you tune it in correctly, you are going to have an amazing amount of success out there on the water, being able to effectively fish the Deep X 300, as well as really all the megabass crankbaits. They're all wonderful, but this guy specifically has a great action that really matches what I find in the DT14. A little bit more bougie, comes with Katsuage hooks that have with the out barb and really deep curve in it. So, I mean, I don't typically change the hooks from the Katsuage, and I believe these are size 4s that come on this one. But again, optionally, you can increase or upgrade your hooks. And again, this one does have a little bit more high float rate than the balsa. Weigh it down. I mean, 0.5 gram is really all you need, and you'll have a ton of success with this one. Bunch of different colors. I didn't mention the price differences, so I'll go ahead and go back to the Squarebills here. You're looking at $650 for the Strike King, $22.99 on the depths. And then the DT14, you're looking at $9.99, and the Megabass Deep X 300, you're looking at $18.99. So quite a big difference between the bait and the bougie. So hopefully y'all are enjoying this little episode here. Let's talk about a plastic. So we went shallow with the crankbait. We went deep with the crankbait. Now we're going to talk about something that I really enjoy fishing literally anywhere. It can be 1 foot of water. It can be 20 foot of water. I just have to adjust my weight on it. That would be a Neko rig or a Neko rig. Now, if you're familiar with the Neko rig, you know how it works. You got a nail weight, you got a hook, straight to your line, nothing else on it, and you're able to fish this in deeper water, suspended over areas, brush piles, a lot of the time using something like the Ryogi Talisman Heavy Guard or Brutal Heavy Guard, anything like that. You're able to fish this pretty weedless around a lot of cover. One of my favorites in the bait variety here is the Big Bite Baits Neko Rama, designed by one of my buddies, Drew Gill. He has won a lot of money on this sucker right here, and before he was with GSM, Big Bite Yamamoto, and all them, he won a lot of money on this guy right here. This is the Berkley Max Scent Power Bait. Talk about prices here. We got $5.99 for a 12 count in this guy, and we have a $9.99 in a 10 count. So, I mean, quite a big difference when it comes to soft plastics. I mean, you're getting a huge bang for your buck for the Neko Rama compared to this guy right here. And let me tell you, this is by far one of our best sellers, the Max Scent Magnum Hitworm for Neko Rigging. And, when it comes to fishing the Neko rig, again, you can change your weight out very, very easily. You can put your hook in a bunch of different areas to give you your desired action, as well as utilizing a crossover ring or O-ring of some sort to increase the durability of your bait and minimize the amount that you lose on a day-to-day basis. Now, I will tell you, the Big Bite Baits Neko Rama is way softer. It has a lot more give. It's a little more like a Senko. If you're familiar with Max Scent plastic, this is a lot more stiff, a lot more rigid. You're not going to get as much death spiral, or you're not going to get as much variance in how this falls, but you can't deny the power of Max Scent. The fish hold on, and they seem like they just don't let go. Not a plug for Berkley. I just have had a lot of success with this, and I've also had a lot of success with the Neko Rama. Personally, I really like a size 2 hook, as small as I can get it, because it is a finesse technique, whether you're fishing up shallow or out deep. I mean, I like to hide the line, really light hook, as really light of a weight as I can get away with to effectively fish it in wind. That is going to be what gets you the most bites. Now, both of these have a wide variety of colors. Neko Rama has a little more transparent colors because the Max Scent does not have any transparent colors. These are all matte colors. Now, Drew did focus on having a lot of matte colors in his lineup of colors. So whether it's like matte green pumpkin or matte margarita, these still let a little bit of light through, but having that little bit of translucency in there definitely helps, I think, get a lot more bites. Like, I'm typically not Neko rigging a robo worm, which is basically see-through, stuff like that, right? So Neko Rama, you can imitate bluegill, you can imitate shad, you can imitate really just about anything you want. I don't know what it is exactly that the fish love about it, but it seems to get bit in the ponds and streams, in the lakes. Hands down, one of the most universal techniques. Easton Fothergill won using a Neko rig version with a Magnum rage worm or whatever it is, bullworm, something like, no, not bullworm, Magnum finesse worm from Strike King on a Neko rig. Won the classic with that, essentially. And I mean, it is hard to deny the amount of money that the Neko rig has won for anglers in the past 3-ish years or so. I do want to take a brief intermission here. We've got 2 more baits to talk about, a plastic and a swim bait, but we did just reload Gomex's handles. We've got the big flat knob guys, 120 mil, Daiwa and Shimano compatible, 8x5 and 7x4. We also have these round ones, and we have a couple others, so make sure to check them all out on the website, lakeprotackle.com, and check this guy out. We have a promotion going on starting on Wednesday the 24th for free gift cards. Well, not entirely free. Purchase rod and or reel, and we're going to set you up with a gift card depending on the tiered price right here. You know, definitely hit us up if you have any questions. Can't wait for y'all to get these rods and reels, because honestly, shipping during the holiday times, especially November and December, can be a big headache. So avoid the delayed shipping, avoid all that mess. Get them now, and we're going to reward you for it to help us out, for helping us out. Anyway, let's go ahead, hop into another hard bait. This guy right here has been a staple in the resin variety. Unfortunately, we can't get the resin variety, but Mike Buka and the team at Buka Brand have come out with the 6-inch trick shad, and later this year they are releasing the bigger versions of the trick shad as well. Now, this guy being a 6-inch bait, you are able to realistically target just about any fish in the lake, whether it's a 1-pounder, whether it's a 10-pounder. 6-inch baits are typically my magic go-to, especially when it comes to swim baits. Being able to fish literally just about anywhere. You can sink it down. Again, this is where flat weights come into come into play. Very, very useful, weighing down your swim baits and glide baits and everything like that. This is the bait. It gets bites. It's big enough to draw in the big bites, and it's big enough to really just draw in and have presence in any area. Now, this is $39.99, basically 40 bucks. I'm saying the Boujee right here, this is $99.99. The Clutch Eco Swim Bait, they're both around that 6-inch variety. This guy right here, I believe, let me see here, this is 1 5/8 ounce. This guy right here is 1.5 ounce. Now, both of these, if you're not familiar with the trick shad and not familiar with the Eco, these are both made to be fished extremely quick in and around cover. Now, you don't have to fish them by docks or hardwood. You can fish them open water, especially if you have clear water. If you're in any clear reservoir like Hartwell or Lanier, anywhere that have any migrating bait fish like herring, you're able to fish these extremely, extremely quick around those areas and not have to have a really, really big line setup or rod and reel setup. You can really fish these on your standard jig rod. You can fish these on just about anything. If you really wanted, you could probably throw this on a spinning setup with like 20-pound braid. I typically fish these with around 15 to 17-pound fluorocarbon and around like a 7'4" medium heavy to heavy rod. It doesn't take a lot to throw these. They are treble hooked. Personally, not a fan of either of the hooks that come on here, or even the split rings on the Buka. A little bit too big for me. I like to slim them down, go to something like the hyper wires. And again, I still love the Spear 71s for these applications. Now, I might go to like a Spear 21, which is a typical round bend, but You cannot deny the power of a big swim bait. The pros are doing it a lot more, and I think y'all should too. Great for ponds as well, keeping it up in the water column. That's where you don't need a lot of weight. So if you do want to fish it faster and faster and you want to keep it down in an area, 1 gram should be pretty good. Maybe 2 gram, 1 on each side, maybe 2 on the belly. Kind of depends how you want that bait to work. Now, last but not least, do not kill me in the comments, guys. We have a lot of people that really enjoy these. These are gill, shad, realistic style baits. I don't know if we should create like a new category for these, which is just like realistic baits, but the 6 Sense Panorama has become a staple for a lot of anglers, especially when fishing clearer water, or at least water that is not stained enough to where these fish can really see and hone in on the realism of a lot of these baits. Now, the Panorama, since it came out, has been a very, very influential bait, especially targeting big bass on live scope. Now, if you don't have live scope, or you're just fishing a pond, or you're just out there fishing and you picked some of these up and you didn't like them, I don't blame you. I still don't realistically like these a lot of the time, but I cannot deny in the fall the realism and the ability to get bit with these. Now, you're able to do a lot of different techniques with this. You can drop shot it, you can flip it, you can throw it on a Texas rig, you can throw it on a Neko rig even, you can throw this on the back of a jig, you can throw this on a jig head. There are so many different applications for this. Now, my favorite way to rig this in the fall time is literally just flipping it on a simple Texas rig, EWG style hook, heavy line in around brush and cover. Now, I don't typically have a very heavy weight on this, typically anywhere around like 1/4 to maybe 5/16. A nice subtle-ish fall, especially in deeper water. If you're fishing a pond, highly suggest maybe throwing this on like maybe an 1/8 ounce or up to a 1/4, because it doesn't have a lot of plastic and that weight really allows it to sink down now very, very fast. Now, we have a couple baits in the Boujee category, but I wanted to pick this one out here. This is the Depths Bull Flat. We have these in a wide variety of colors, 2 different sizes, and this is probably one of our best selling baits. Now, the Panoramas, you're looking at $7.99 for 3 of them. And per bait, it's not terrible, but I will tell you, these bull flats are $10.99 for, I believe it's 6 baits in this. 6 baits. So realistically, when it comes to per piece, the Panorama and the bull flat are very, very similar. But when it comes to Boujee style brands, the Depths definitely, I think, takes the cake. Now, the main difference between the Panorama and something like the bull flat is the amount of plastic in each one of these. The Panorama is very skinny, utilizing a very minimal amount of plastic. Bull flat, a lot different. It has a rounded bottom and a flat top. However, I mean, it can be either one. It can be a rounded bottom and flat top, or flat bottom, rounded top. However you want to think about it, you're able to do a lot more with the bull flat. You can do everything I listed on the Panorama. This excels at a swing head, a Texas rig, flipping, heavy cover, and it doesn't break super, super easily because of that extra material. Now, the main differences between the Panorama to me and the bull flat is the amount of action you're getting out of them. Panorama, you have to incorporate as much action as you can. The bull flat has a little bit of a segmented tail, so you're able to really keep this in one area. I mean, barely move it, and it's going to have a lot of great action on it. Now, one of my favorite ways to fish the bull flat is going to be, again, simple Texas rig, and I love fishing this on a Carolina rig as well. It's something that a lot of people don't really do. A swing head is also a great option for you if you like throwing a bull flat. Again, bunch of different colors, some really cool colors like Indy Soggy, really, really neat. I think we're currently out of Indy Gill, but the Indy Soggy, if you're looking for an incredible shad profile and pattern, cannot deny the power of Indy Soggy. Really, really cool stuff here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We actually have one more bait. I lied. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 baits in this. I mean, you can't deny spinnerbait in the fall time, whether it's shad or bluegill. But specifically, I want to talk about the blade configuration on my fall time spinnerbaits. It's got to be Colorado, and it's got to be a willow. Colorado as a kicker, and then a willow as your main blade. Why do I have to have a Colorado in the fall time? Well, the Colorado, what it does, it's a bigger, wider blade, and it catches more water, and it allows me to fish a lot slower around certain targets. And this is going to be a specific spinnerbait for my shallow cover. Now, one of my favorite, absolutely favorite ways to fish a spinnerbait in the fall time, shallow cover, ultra slow with my rod tip up, almost waking the spinnerbait at the surface, basically waking it at the surface. Having that Colorado allows that willow to sit and stand tall right at the top of the water, and it allows me to fish heavy line, allows me to fish super, super, super slow around cover. Because a lot of the time these fish, they have bite windows. A lot of the times they set up on areas they don't want to eat, but if you keep something in their face long enough, they just have to go out there and pop it. Now, the Boujee, the bait we were talking about, Santone Got 5, 739 Boujee, Mega Bass SV3 slow roll. This also comes in multiple different sizes from 3/8 up to 3/4. This one is $14.99, and one of the big advantages to the SV spinnerbait is it doesn't keel as much left to right. It is built extremely tight tolerances. The head design is more of a sled head, so it doesn't allow water to catch and kick up underneath. The blades are also a little bit thinner, a little bit easier to throw. And this one here, specifically the SR or slow roll shallow runner, this one allows you to fish those shallower areas a lot easier than having a ton of pullback from something like a Got 5. Now, colorways, we have a huge amount of colorways in the SR, from bluegill to like chartreuse and white to something like this, which is, I believe, just white python, a little bit clear, a little bit straight white. We've got some translucent colors, and it's hard to deny the power of a spinnerbait, especially one that stays in the strike zone for a little bit longer than a lot of your competition or a lot of the other people that fish around your areas. So hope you enjoyed the list. That's 6 of my favorite baits, some accessories, some ways to adjust your bait's sink rate and action. Bunch of cool stuff happening at Lake Pro Tackle. I hope y'all take advantage of this guy right here, the promo. We've got rods and reels, y'all. Got plenty of them in stock. If you're looking to purchase a rod or reel, I highly encourage you to do it before the fall rush, before the Black Friday sales, before all the holiday stuff. Of course, we will have a couple things during that time, but I can't promise any gifts will get to you before it happens. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to get these orders out to y'all. And definitely check out all the cool stuff down in the description below. And we'll see you next time here at Lake Pro Tackle. See you guys.